You are looking at every sailor's worst nightmare. Welcome back to Knowledge Works. These are the most massive, dangerous, and destructive waves ever recorded. From waves so big they knocked over entire ships to beaches with the scariest waves on the planet. First, we have to look at this terrifying video. As you can see, this massive ship is being hit by a wave. This cruise ship has 1,000 people on board. Its massive waves swing it from side to side. This took place in 2011 and terrified all of the captains, crew members, and passengers. The monster wave was apparently caused by a tsunami. Rescuers in a helicopter caught this harrowing footage. At one point, it really seems like the ship might capsize. It did destabilize, but thankfully it did not fully tip over. The ship continued on its journey despite this very scary incident. Next, we have to look at this crazy footage from South Africa. In 2019, Cape Town experienced some of the worst storms ever. Gale force winds caused massive storms. This resulted in high seas and localized flooding. Gigantic waves from the sea flooded the roads. Police dashcam footage caught some of the scariest waves I've ever seen. The Cape Town storms resulted in various injuries. This included a woman being swept out to sea and a man being knocked over by a wave and breaking his arm. Now let's look at a wave caused by an earthquake in 2011. Japan was hit by the biggest earthquake in 140 years. It was a whopping 9.0 on the Richter scale, but the earthquake was less destructive than what it caused. This was a 10-meter monster tsunami. This caused cars, infrastructure, nature, and houses to wash away. Helicopter news footage caught the massive wave heading for the shore. All Japanese people could do was sit and watch on TV, powerless to the fact that Mother Nature was about to wipe them out. This wave caused billions of dollars in damages. As soon as the wave hit, mass destruction was caused. Homes and lives were lost. Nature truly is one of the scariest forces on the planet. Seeing entire buildings washed away looks like something from an apocalypse movie. But this is what many people experienced in real life. Now, I couldn't show you this next video. It comes from one of the most dangerous seas on the planet. That is the North Sea. The video was filmed from the bow of a ship by a sailor. A 100-foot wave can be seen rolling toward the shape. The waves then collide with and break on the ship. But the crazy thing is, the captain of the ship laughs at the waves.
That's awesome.
Talk about laughing in the face of danger. If this ship was any smaller, then it would have capsized, likely taking the lives of everyone on board. Moving on, let's look at one of the most dangerous speeches in the world. This is Maverick's Beach in California. Because of its lives, it's known as a surfer's paradise, a big surf competition that is held at Maverick's Beach annually. But in 2010, the surface and crowd got more than they bargained for. This led to many spectators being washed away. The tides grew large and the waves were way too big. Some of the camera and sound equipment even got washed away. The waves grew to 50 feet in height, and around 40 people were knocked down, with 13 seriously injured. One man broke his leg, a woman broke her ankle, and a few other people were also taken to hospital. Moving on, let's look at a cruise ship that got hit by a monster wave in 2010. The Clearly A2 was in Antarctica. The ship had hundreds of passengers and 77 crew members. The ship declared an emergency, saying that the engine was damaged. The 55-mile-an-hour winds had created massive waves. Thankfully, the ship did not capsize, but the ship did lose power and communications. This was when the ship's windows were destroyed by a 30-foot wave. At the time, the ship was heading through the Drake Passage. This is one of the most feared patches of water in the world. The ship had no way to communicate. It had lost power. But thankfully, a nearby ship saw it and came to the rescue. Now we have to look at a wedding that was ruined by a monster wave in 2020. A couple had just got married and were taking photos by the California coast. The photos were supposed to capture their special day, but instead, they caught the scariest moments of their lives. A gigantic wave crashed into the couple, pulling them into the dangerous waters. Of course, the wife couldn't swim with her big wedding dress on. Thankfully, a Good Samaritan notified lifeguards, but lifeguards were too far away. So instead, the Good Samaritan jumped in and saved the couple's lives. The couple escaped with minor injuries, and lifeguards said they were lucky to be alive. This just goes to show that sometimes it's not worth risking your life for a photo. The video is a scary reminder to always take Mother Nature seriously. Moving on, let's look at the biggest man-made wave of all time. You may wonder how a wave can be man-made. Well, if the answer is with the news. In the 1960s, the US Navy created a naval ship that could withstand a nuclear blast. Also, they thought to test this ship, they created a bomb named Helena Bikini. They then detonated it underneath the ship. The explosion moved 2 million tons of water, 5,000 feet into the air. This created a massive wave that destroyed the ship. The wave was so big, it even injured a cameraman on a nearby island. Nuclear debris from this blast still remains in the area to this day. Now let's look at a wave caused by a hurricane. The footage comes from an emergency rescue ship. It was filmed in the North Sea. Its purpose is to rescue any vessels that may have been caught in the storm. This has got to be one of the scariest jobs I've ever seen. The gigantic waves cross on this massive ship. Thankfully, this ship is specially designed to withstand hurricane and tsunami waves. But if it was a normal ship, it definitely would have capsized. Finally, let's look at a wave caused by a tsunami. This took place in 2011 during the Japanese earthquake. We're used to seeing tsunamis hitting buildings and cars. But did you know they actually start far out in the sea? Water is displaced by an earthquake, causing massive waves. Take a look at this video filmed by the Japanese Coast Guard. As the ship is sailing, you can see a massive wave forming in the distance. A massive wall of water quickly forms over the horizon. In the footage, the captain panics but quickly realizes he has no choice but to go right through it. The ship's crew agrees the best choice is to sail over this wave. Thankfully, they make it over. But this wave went on to cause billions of dollars in damages and, sadly, thousands of lives. Mother Nature truly is the most formidable force on the planet. Sometimes we don't realize just how powerful water can be. But I think these wave videos really show us the dangers of the deep sea and what can happen if we're not prepared enough, both when we're at sea and when we're on land. But now it's time to make your voice heard. Comments below. Which of these waves was the scariest? Thanks for watching. Leave it like if you enjoyed, and if you haven't already, then what are you waiting for? Subscribe to KnowledgeWorks.